Hello and good morning. It's Phil Thatch, and today it is snowing. I knew it was going to snow today. I actually rearranged my off days so I could be off on the day that it snows, because where I work we would still be open. We wouldn't be doing much, but we would be open. I've been trying to figure out where to go to make a photo, and the first place I've decided to stop is on the upriver side of the Chickamauga Dam, where there is a fabulous tree. I photographed it recently satisfactorily with the Z50 during some fog. I'm going to try to get it today with the Z6, make that Z8 in the snow. So let's see how that goes. The lens I'm using for this is the 24-70 f4 Z lens, and I've got it on the Z8. I've walked around looking at the tree from lots of different directions, and there's not as much. Last time I was here there was fog and I could shoot it in those trees. That little bank of trees right there would be virtually invisible, but they're really showing in this shot because they're relatively close. So I came around this way to get a shot of the tree, and there are some trees that will be in the background, but they're far enough away that it really shows the depth. So this is the angle that I chose to shoot the tree. There's also a hill in the background behind the tree, so that gives it some nice stuff. And there's a road that goes through, and the road is completely white. The field, you can still see grass poking through the snow. The snow's only maybe a half an inch deep. It is still actively snowing though, as maybe you can see in this video. And I shot that way. Let's see, what is it? I'm at somewhere between 35 and 50 millimeters framed up the composition best. And I'm at 1/6 of a second ISO 64. My exposure is plus 1 1/3 stop. If I use the meter right on 0, everything would look gray, but it's still not overexposed even at plus 1 1/3 stop. The histogram is way to the right, but not touching the right. And I think the shot's gonna look pretty good. Let's take a look. Here's the shot of that tree. I just love that tree, and I made sure to have my camera low enough to where this branch wasn't intersecting with the ground, and this branch wasn't intersecting with the ground or these trees. And the reason I picked this position is because these trees don't bump into this branch and these trees don't bump into the trunk. I tried to get as clear a shot with a background not bothering the tree as possible. And this is 1/6 of a second, 43 millimeters, f8, and ISO 64. Pretty happy with this high key in the snow shot of the old tree. I've come now to the other side of the Chickamauga Dam. There's often great blue heron fishing right here in this flat area. There will be lots of good fish from around the dam here, and they fish, and I get down low here and make shots of them. And I did that this morning. I put the 600 PF on there, the 600 6.3 VR, and there was a couple of great blue herons, and I think I got a shot of both of them. There was a lot of atmosphere to shoot through, so this shot may not look as sharp as it actually is. This is 1/200th of a second, 600 millimeters wide open at 6.3 and ISO 1100. Got my boots on again today. Love these things. Had snow all over them before, now I've got water all over them, but I'll have snow on them again soon. And here's the other great blue heron. I got really low for this one, and I'm shooting through a lot of brush, so the bottom of the frame is kind of mushy looking, and it's snowing, and there's a lot of atmosphere. But there's the other great blue heron, and you can see snow on its head and snow on its back. And this is 1/125th of a second, 600 millimeters wide open at 6.3 and ISO 500. I've come to downtown Chattanooga now, and I've been just walking around with the 24-70 f4S making photographs, testing its weather sealing. It's covered in snow right now, but it's supposed to be at least a little weather sealed. So far, no problems. I walked out onto the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge and made a few photos, including the obligatory panorama of the John Ross Market Street Bridge. This is the Hunter Museum of Art. This is 2 of the 3 Hunter Museum of Art buildings. The new modern looking one is over here, and this much older style architecture building was what I'm featuring in this shot. This is 24 millimeters handheld, 1/160th of a second, f5, and ISO 80. And here's a shot of the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge. You can see behind it in this area, you can see the John Ross Market Street Bridge behind it. And I'm making this shot from the Hunter Museum. As a matter of fact, I'll show you in a photograph where I was standing when I made this shot. This is 24 millimeters, 1/80th of a second, f8, and ISO 140, and this is a handheld shot. Now I'm at the entrance to the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge, and you can see it has sidewalks on the sides, but it's a pedestrian bridge. Even the middle is for people to walk, and you can see people walking their dog in the snow. It was a lot of fun being out there this morning in the snow. This is 29 millimeters, 1/80th of a second, handheld, f8, and ISO 125. This is a handheld panorama looking over at the John Ross Market Street Bridge from the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge. I thought it turned out pretty cool. It's, I think, 15 or so shots. This is 24 millimeters, 1/60th of a second, f8, and ISO 100. And now I'm looking in the other direction off of the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge. In that first shot of the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge, I was standing right here on this little overhang overlook from the Hunter Museum of Art. This is Veterans Bridge here, and this is McClelland Island. But this is why they call it the Bluff View Art District, because the museum is here and it's on top of a bluff. This is, I'm not sure how many feet above the Tennessee River, but it's a long way. And this is 24 millimeters, 1/100th, f8, ISO 125. I thought it was interesting that this guy was out riding a bicycle on the bridge in the snow. And I'm sharing this picture with you, even though I missed focus. I saw him at the very last second and said, oh man, I got to get a picture of that. But I did miss focus a little bit, but I still thought it was cool. 1/100th of a second, f8, 24 millimeters, ISO 125. I had a couple of conversations with this gentleman. He's shooting with a 70-200 Z lens and a Nikon Z8. So I thought that was cool. The only other person I saw with a real camera, several people were taking pictures with cell phones, but the only other person with a real camera also was using a Z8. This is 70 millimeters, 1/160th, f8, and ISO 200. And then I came down the hill and made a photograph of the front of the Tennessee Aquarium. Now I'm all the way down the hill from where the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge is. I'm way down and I'm taking this photograph of the Tennessee Aquarium. This is 24 millimeters, 1/160th, f8, and ISO 320. This is kind of the best vantage point to shoot the original building of the Tennessee Aquarium. There's another building out of frame to the right, but this is the most photogenic building. And if you stand in the middle where you're right in front and center of the Tennessee Aquarium sign here, then these trees will be blocking the aquarium much more, and it's just framed up much better to make a few steps to the right before you photograph the Ocean Journey building. The flags here are at half staff because President Jimmy Carter just died a few days ago. I was making a photograph of the brick couch that's right out front of the Ben & Jerry's ice cream shop, and this family of three saw me and said, hey, will you take our picture? And they handed me their cell phone, and I said, sure, I'll take your picture, but you got to let me make a picture also with my camera. So here's the picture of the nice family on the brick couch in the snow. Here's the shot that I was making. I was making this shot with no people on the couch. I just liked the Ben & Jerry's sign and the brick building and the brick couch. And these people saw that and said, hey, will you take our picture? And I said, sure, but you got to let me take it also with my camera. This is 37 millimeters, 1/160th, f8, and ISO 640. And then I also made a close-up shot of them. Same family. This one's 40 millimeters, 1/160th, f8, and ISO 450. I didn't get any of them's name except for this guy. His name is Phil, which I thought was easy for me to remember. Here's a couple of skid steer bulldozer things that I thought it was interesting that they were just parked in the middle of downtown Chattanooga. This is a parking lot very near the Tennessee Aquarium, 54 millimeters, 1/160th, f8, and ISO 200. This is the IMAX Theater, which is about a block from the Tennessee Aquarium, 1/160th of a second, 24 millimeters, f8, and ISO 140. I've always liked this corner of the building right here. And these lights are from the baseball stadium that's just up the hill from the IMAX Theater. If you could pick any car to go out and drive in the snow, Would you pick a baby blue Volkswagen Beetle convertible? I thought it was cool looking. I'm not sure if it would be my first choice, but I did think it looked cool going down the street. This is 70 millimeters 1/160th f8 and ISO 160 right there on Aquarium Way, which used to be 2nd Street. Now I'm on the John Ross Market Street Bridge, which has sidewalks on both sides of it, but the middle of it is only for traffic. And I thought this shot was cool. I made it into a 3x1 cheater panorama. This is not a multi-shot panorama, but I liked the truck coming across the bridge, and I've always liked the obelisk light holders that the bridge has on it. This is 54 millimeters 1/160th f8 and ISO 200. This is a shot looking back at the Walnut Street pedestrian bridge from the John Ross Market Street Bridge. And this is a single shot. This is not a multi-shot panorama. You can see lots of snow in the foreground, and that's McClellan Island that we looked at before, and the Veterans Bridge going across. 24 millimeters 1/160th f8 and ISO 320 for this one. Here's a 70 millimeter shot showing off the close focusing abilities of the 24-70 f4S lens. This is 70 millimeters 1/60th of a second f8 and ISO 500. I thought these red berries and green leaves with the snow were beautiful. I guess this is a holly bush. Neither Heather or I have tried this new restaurant yet called The Playlist. Apparently they have Italian cuisine and performing servers, but I do like their marquee, so I photographed it. This is 43 millimeters 1/160th of a second f7.1 and ISO 450. A lot of snow coming down in this shot. And just as I was getting ready to leave, the news showed up. So I made a picture of the newsman as he was unpacking his gear. And this is 49 millimeters 1/160th of a second f7.1 and ISO 250. I've made my way back to the car now. Took my top layer off, the water resistant layer. It's still cold. Let me see. Let me see what the temperature says it is. 28 degrees Fahrenheit presently. My camera is covered with snow. My camera bag is covered with snow that I was wearing. I didn't want to leave my 600 PF in the car downtown while I walked around, so I carried it with me all over the place. But this has been fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. You'll see some more stuff like this. Subscribe and hit the bell. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.